be where I start the tape, you guys.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Hi, everyone. This is part 2B, the follow-up with Mark Wentz. And he is a neurobiologist, physicist, and teacher. And part 2B is going to do a follow-up on the Lidar system at Skinwalker Ranch. And we are going to look at the audio tape with Sasquatch and the video of the UFO on the hill, and probably some other things. So I'm going to turn it over to Mark. Thank you, Mark.
Oh, are we doing the video on the hill? We got that one worked.
We can do whatever you want.
Okay, because I was just going over the ones that didn't work, that I didn't know what buttons to push for on the last podcast. So. Okay, so the first one's the audio of Sasquatch that my buddy Daryl actually is the one who recorded it, but I was with him up in southern Missouri, and I've compared this audio with the audios of other people that have recorded the howl, H-O-W-L, the howl sound of Sasquatch. It's identical. And just as a reference, I heard it again this morning at my place, the same sound. I'm hearing it about once or twice a month. It's off in the distance.
Mm-hmm.
I did get a recording, but I haven't checked the recording yet. It was off in the distance this morning. I'm hearing it, though, right at daybreak. That's when I've been getting up lately. So just, same thing. But anyway, so let's play the audio that I didn't know what buttons to push at the end of June. Okay, that would be this one here. All right, it's just audio. I'll play it again, just for fun.
Please.
All right.
Oh.
And okay, the next one is, let's see, make sure I have them all. I think I'll play this one here. So this is the light glow as filmed from the stage by Jay Pittman, and he had his Starlight camera system set up. Now, the thing that's interesting for me about this video is, if you remember when I talked about it at the end of June, I talked about how the light sometimes shows up first down on the hillside and then works its way up to the event site. And keep in mind that down on the hillside, that's where I'm getting heightened radiation readings, which is curious. I went through that in the podcast at the end of June. Anyway, so that's a little preface for this. So let me play this one now. Okay, okay, I guess that's all right. Oh, there we go. Okay, my play button's over here. All right, see if we can play this again. I wonder if I can go to full screen. Show full, no, I don't want to do that. Never mind. I'll play it again just for fun. Maybe. Maybe.
And tell us again, Mark, what was that? What are we looking at there?
Well, we're looking at, and Cheryl, please join in because you see
Thank you.
this very frequently. We're seeing the light appearing at the top of the hill. It just starts to glow, and then you see the light move up towards the top of the hill, which is, and in this video, it's pretty much right where the event site is. And remember, the event site is where a lot of the significant paranormal activity occurs at Board Camp Crystal Mine. So, this light, many people, Jay and I in particular, we've looked for all normal explanations for this light. It's not coming from anything normal. It's not coming from headlights. It's not coming from anything under a normal explanation that we could track down at all. So, and again, it starts out in the region where the radiation readings are higher than normal. They're not dangerous, but they're higher than normal, about 4 to 5 times. Excuse me, 3 to 4 times higher. Okay, so there's that one. And then this other video, this next video, is the same. It's still the light showing, but this time it's not showing starting out glowing at the top of the hill. It's just glowing up either at the event site or behind the event site. So let's play this one. Find the play button.
It's recording.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Wow.
And again, we'll see if we can play this again just for the fun of it.
That's really bright.
Yeah.
I would like to say that is about 350 to 400 feet away from the camera. That's quite a
Yeah.
distance, especially we don't have expensive cameras.
Yeah, and
So,
this was captured with your security cameras that you have out there
yeah,
off the stage. Yeah.
right. It's
Yeah.
not a super high-tech camera, but it was amazing that that light was so bright
Yeah.
that the camera caught it like that from
Wow.
that
So
distance.
yeah, that is right where the event site is. So
Mm-hmm. Yes.
and so on December on December 7th of 2023, when that light came on, that's when Orville ran up there and he went into
Yes.
that light. Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
and now I'll let Orville tell that story. But that's when he had I don't know if you call he did it's not an abduction experience exactly, but that's when he went into the other realm and
Right.
experienced the light in the other realm with the UFO ships and the humanoids, as he said.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
Jason, his buddy, followed several minutes later and saw Orville being taken up out of the
Mhm.
near the event site, not far from the exact event site. And he said he went up in a purple haze. So anyway, this is where a lot of the paranormal stuff happens. This is where the July 14th through the 16th, 2023 event happened with Jay, Orville, and myself, and Cheryl, because you had the electricity issues back at the house.
Yes.
And so that all happens right here. So
Mhm.
what is the source of the light? We don't know. There is a house. I'm just going to say, just to let you know, we've checked for normal explanations for some of these things. There is another property a little less than a mile back but I've gone and searched that property for lights or anything that would have caused these things. I cannot explain these bright lights from that property in the behind. Anyway, so these were the three things that I didn't know how to play at the end of June, but now I've got it for you. So,
That's wonderful. And you had something, did you want to elaborate on the Lidar system, or was that just for Alberta?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Actually, I'm glad you mentioned about some things. I can elaborate on the Lidar here because there is an update. But I also want to describe the Linda Clement story. I didn't have time to describe it. I decided to not describe it.
Could you give them a little background for people that may be tuning in?
I'm going to. I'll do a background lead in for it. But let me talk about the Lidar first. So at Skinwalker Ranch, of course, these people have literally hundreds of thousands of dollars available for their technologies. And they have professionals that really do this stuff for a living. And so they have a couple of guys that take a Lidar, a high quality, really expensive Lidar system, and they fly it above Skinwalker Ranch. And as I showed in the June podcast, that they've gotten this bubble show up over Skinwalker Ranch, and it shows it going underground. Lidar doesn't go underground. It maybe a few feet, but that's it. The originally Eric Bard on Skinwalker Ranch said that it went down 300 meters, which is 984 feet. But I've been listening to them, and he's corrected that number. So he says it goes down 800 some feet. Anyway, it goes way down. So there's no explanation. There's no good explanation for that, other than the fact that the corresponding GPS readings that go with where the Lidar signal bounces off of something is messed up. So update. So I did buy a Lidar system, and I've got it working, Cheryl. I've tested it. Okay. It works, but it's a cheap one. It's not even close to the quality of Skinwalker Ranch.
But so, you have one.
I do have one.
Yeah.
And I do have a drone, but I am not, these drones are not toys, and I am not proficient at this drone. And we are too close to the Mena airport for an amateur like me to screw around with a powerful tool. You guys had a drone operator come out there. I would feel much more comfortable to have somebody who really knows how to do a drone professionally. But the Lidar system, I bought one. It's light enough to put on a drone. I would like to have it fly. Well, actually, I take that back. This Lidar system, we can't put it on drone because it has to be plugged in. It's a different. It's not battery operated, unfortunately. But that being said, I think we could still use it, because if I take the Lidar and put it near the event site, or down where the portal is, and we get a barrier, that might indicate something. Unfortunately, it's not going to be the quality of Skinwalker Ranch, but I did get it to work, and so
great.
I didn't have it to work before because the people forgot to tell me that it only works on a Windows 7 or 8 operating system, and my systems are Windows 10 and 11. I just happen to have an old computer that had Windows 7 still on it, and I disengaged the update on it, so it's got to stay Windows 7. So I've got it working, so we can do that.
Awesome.
Very soon, very soon.
Yes.
So now to Linda Clement's story. I need to tell this story because on the upcoming podcast, I'm going to talk about. I'll be summarizing everything using the information given in this latest discovery of the telepathy tapes. And so in one episode of the telepathy tapes, I believe it's episode 9, they talk about the structure, sort of the structure of the way things work on the other side. Well, that's what the Linda Clement story is about. So what I was told in the Linda Clement experience, which I'm going to describe now in just a minute, goes hand in hand with what was described by the non-spellers, or the non-speakers, I meant to say, in the telepathy tapes. So to the Linda Clement story. So just to give a little background to it, it all started in a psychology class at the University of Kansas, and our little professor guy, or teacher, probably a graduate assistant guy, he said, do any of you kids do anything interesting in psychological arena? And I sheepishly raised my hand and said, yeah, I used to hypnotize people. So I used to do a lot of I studied hypnotism, self-hypnotism, and when I was a teenager, I got pretty good at it. And so then Linda Clement, who I'd never met before, was in that class, and she came up and asked me if I would hypnotize her. Anyway, so I didn't know her, and hypnotism, in my opinion, hypnotism can have deleterious effects. Even though I was just a kid, I was definitely not a professional. But so anyway, so I agree. So Linda and our adventures began. So we started off just doing, I didn't know anything about past life, any of that stuff. I always did, normal hypnosis. So we did regressive hypnosis, and we went through her life, which was quite dramatic, by the way. And you can test, there's easy ways of testing if they're being faked or not, when you're doing regressive hypnosis. And that is just have them write on a piece of paper. Tell them to write something. Give them a little sentence or something to write. And you can see them change their writing style as they get younger and younger, until down to where they're just scribbling. Anyway, and then we got her down to when she was just an infant. She's crawling around like a little baby. We got her even down to the fetal stage, in a fetal position. Anyway, so I asked her, you want to try some past life regression? I've never done it before, but you want to try it? And she said, yeah, let's give it a shot. So, okay, so I had been reading on it, so I was following the procedures I'd read about. And so I followed the procedures, and so, okay, what happened next? This was crazy. So she's flying around in a lucid dream flying state above the Earth's surface. And I told her, said that the usual procedures, if you see a light on the Earth, then go down towards that light, because that's where you're supposed to be. So that's exactly what happened to her. She ended up in a barn in Prussia. And these two people were talking German. And Linda didn't know any German, but she could pick up, their names. Their names were Anna and Werner. Now we tape recorded these sessions. And so Linda could, even though it wasn't her language, she could understand what the topic was about. She couldn't say word for word. So the first session we had with Anna and Vern, it was Linda was basically just moderating the conversation between these two people speaking an old version of German. And so what Anna and Werner were doing was they were planning their trip to America. Okay, so we then, and by the way, I'm describing Anna and Werner. This actually isn't the interesting stuff. I could skip over this probably, but I'll just briefly say a little bit about it. We did 10 sessions with Anna and Werner. And I think the next session, I brought in a German speaker, a friend of mine. a native. She was from Germany, and she came. I had her come in and listen to the session. And she said, "This is odd. I could translate it, but I can't translate it completely. It's not a dialect I'm familiar. It's weird. I can't understand everything." And so I took one of the recordings up to. I sort of was careful when I played it. I took it up to a professor at the university. We're in Lawrence, Kansas, University of Kansas, and he was a native speaker. And he said, "Where the hell did you get this tape from? This is the language my great-grandfather spoke. It's a different dialect. I can't understand all of it either. I know it's a dialect my great-grandfather spoke." And that was back in the mid 1800s. And so this was weird. Here we have Linda speaking German in a dialect that doesn't even exist anymore. And Linda speaking it, by the way. She would stop and then try to and do the best of translating. So this German accent is coming out of Linda's mouth. It was weird. Anyway, so we go through Anna and Vern's life and their plans, and they end up on a ship, a steamship coming. We got every detail. They even remembered the names of the captain, some of the people on the ship. We got names, detailed names. And I ended up, University of Kansas has this incredible library of newspapers that go back to I don't know how far back they go, but anyway, we knew that they came over to the United States in 1883. We had the name of the ship, the captain's name, the date, we had everything. I checked it on the library, in the library, and their names were on the list of the passengers. Now, granted, I'm thinking all along that, okay, somehow Linda, I get from doing her present past life regression, I thought it's possible she's a multiple. And because she had a rough childhood. And I thought maybe she's a multiple. Maybe another one of her personalities had gone to the library and looked this stuff up. I don't know. And somehow knew an old dialect. How would you know an old dialect of German? I don't know. But anyway, so I was getting all excited because, this is really turned into something. We have them in the United States now. We know their names. Now I can track their family down here in the United States by genealogy stuff. I was getting ready to do that. And then we're getting ready to start the sessions to follow Anna and Werner through their adventures in the United States. And then we got cut off. Linda sits up. Now, Linda was about 95 pounds, petite, young blonde, young woman. She sits up. Her entire demeanor changes completely, and her face literally became much more angular. Her voice changed into a deep voice. How do you get a deep voice out of her voice box, out of her larynx? Her voice became very deep, and then now Linda was always present with Anna and Werner. She's always in the background, ready to translate. Linda's not there anymore. I asked, "Is Linda? Are you here?" And all that came through was, "No, I'm not Linda. I'm not letting Linda hear. You need to listen to me. I can tell you how all this works. The Anna and Werner story is boring. You need to listen to what I'm going to say." I said, "Oh." And so I started asking him, what was he? And he said, he says, "Well, I'm not from this earth." I think he said, "I was never even an incarnation of this earth. I'm a soul being way beyond the souls of any earthling." And he said, "I'm here to tell you the nature of the universe. And this is for you to hear, Mark." So Linda, this isn't for Linda. This is for you. So he goes through the structure of the universe, how everything works. And essentially what it came down to Now, by the way, at this point, I'm wondering what the hell is going on here.
Yeah.
My translator was in the room also. She was we were both shocked. And so anyway, this is basically what he said, or it said. It wasn't even human. It said that you can think of the universe as a collection of trees, as a large forest, and each tree is a soul structure. Each leaf is a particular life, and all the leaves can communicate with the other leaves, but the ones that are farther away on different branches, they're harder to communicate with. But the trunk is the depository of all the life and informations gained from all the little leaves. And all the trees are connected by the root systems. And all the trees are different soul structures. There's an infinite number of soul structures. And every timeline, every leaf follows a different timeline. They could be very close to each other in time or very far away from each other in time. So each leaf follows time, but there's an infinite number of timelines. And you can think of the soil as the depository of the universal information, and that there's a planet that stores all the information from all the souls as they grow. But there are an infinite number of planets. So there's an infinite amount of information in different dimensions, in different timelines. And these all expand as the universe expands. Everything occurs in multi-dimensions in parallel universes. And souls, an individual leaf, a particular life form, if they know how to do it, if they could, I think the way he said, if you can relax the way the leaf blows in the wind, so to speak, as a metaphor, of course, calm yourself down, you can listen and hear the information from the other souls on other leaves, even to the soul tree itself. And okay, we got all this information. So this was over two hypnosis sessions. After the first hypnosis session, Linda was really pissed off. She was really pissed off. She says, I don't know where I went. It's like I didn't exist anymore. I didn't remember anything. I couldn't feel anything. I just simply wasn't there. I don't like that. I don't want to do this again. And so I said, well, wait, Linda, no, you can't do that. This has really gotten interesting. So you'll listen to the tape and you'll see how interesting this is. And so she listened to the tape and said, oh yeah, this is fascinating. But shit, I feel like I've gone to hell. And I'm not there. I can't participate. I don't like the feeling. And she said, I don't know what to, he didn't have a name. So she decided to call him Garbanzo. I don't know why Linda called him Garbanzo. She said, okay, I'll do one more session. So then we did the other session, and Garbanzo continued describing details of different timelines of different souls. He went through some of the examples of examples from the Bible, examples from Egyptian history, and that these were all real. You got to take these things seriously. He even did pagan stuff. He went through a lot of the different philosophies and teachings that humans have gained over the centuries. And he said they're all they all have things in common, and they're all touching on the truth. They get sidetracked because of fear and because of fear primarily. That's a big problem. But anyway, so after the second session, Linda wouldn't do it again. She says, I can't do this anymore. It's too scary for me. I really am. come back petrified after every session. This thing, whatever it is so powerful. I'm actually afraid I won't come back wherever I go. So she wouldn't do it again. We did have another hypnosis session several years later. She wanted to keep it more peaceful and didn't want Garbanzo to come back. So we did a hypnosis session where she was one of her timelines was in Egypt. But anyway, that's essentially the Linda Clement story. Linda Clement, not long after this happened, she got a disease, and I don't know the name of the disease. It's an autoimmune disease with a name I don't remember the name of, but it's made it so that she could only lie in a bed in a room that had to be cooler than, I think, 68 degrees. She always has to keep her feet above her head, and she always has to have oxygen. If she doesn't have any of those conditions met, she'll die, literally. So one day she asked me, she lives, I don't think she's alive anymore. I've been out of touch with her for actually a couple of years. But back several years ago, she asked me to take her to Sedona, Arizona. Now, she lived in Flagstaff in a disabled community, and or I don't know what you call a nursing home community. Anyway, she begged me to take her, rent a special van, and we'll get a nurse and take her, drive her around Sedona. And I said, oh my God, Linda. So I did. It cost me several $1,000s to do this. I got a van. We got all the equipment needed to keep her on a gurney. She got a special window van so she could look out the window. And just as a little side note, this really has nothing to do with this podcast, but I have to tell this. So, and her nurse, her nurse came with us. This cost me, as I said, this cost me several $1,000s to do this. And so I did. And so I took her to one of the overviews up by the airport in Sedona. It's a very popular place for tourists to go. And it was in the mid 70s outside at the time. Keep in mind, she has to stay at a temperature below around 68 degrees or below. And Linda begged me to take her out of the van and on the gurney, roll her over to the edge so she could see. I said, we can't keep you cool enough. Oh, she said, yeah, I know, I'll die, but my nurse says she'll revive me. Oh, shit. I said, nurse, I asked her, can you really do this? She said, yeah, we can. I don't recommend it. Then I said, I'm doing it. I want you to do it. So we did. And it just so happened there was a Jewish wedding ceremony going there. And they had the photographers and everything. And I was, oh my God, what's going to happen? So the nurse and I got Linda out of the van on the gurney. We rolled her over to the overlook so she could see for herself. And damn it, she died. And she's dead. You know, her heart stopped beating. And shit. So we had to rush her back to the van. I kept the van running so the air conditioning would stay cold. We rushed her back over. The nurse gave her CPR, revived her. We put her in the van. And I said, Linda, come on. That's way too freaking risky. Yeah, but I want to go to Grand Canyon now. So the next day, we repeated this. I took her up to the Grand Canyon, which is about a 2 or 3 hour drive from Flagstaff. And now the Grand Canyon at the time was really, really nice. If you're disabled, you get you're treated like you're really good specialty. You get a special little road you get to drive on, and it's wonderful. And so we did that. and I said, Linda, really, I don't want to take you out of the van, but they have a special place for disabled viewing. So she was able to see out the window. I didn't let her get out of the van again. I wasn't going to go through the death scenario again. But so we did that, and so I took her to board. I took her to Sedona. I took her around Sedona. Took her up to Grand View. Excuse me, the great to the Grand Canyon, and that was it. Took her back, and we talked again for a while, for a year or more, and then we sort of lost contact. But I've tried to contact the people at the nursing home where she lives. They wouldn't tell me if she was still alive. They said for HIPAA reasons. I haven't gone back to Flagstaff since, and she doesn't answer any of my contacts. I've looked for obituary records. I haven't found any, but I knew the last time I contacted her, she was so weak, she couldn't even use her keyboard anymore. So I don't know what happened to Linda in the end, but that's the Linda Clement story. So
That's amazing.
it's an amazing story. So
Mm-hmm.
anyway,
Mm-hmm.
do we have time for one more thing?
Sure.
Okay. Let me tell you the David Kinsey story. So this same class, psychology class, this guy brought in a psychic from Kansas City, Missouri, and his name is David Kinsey. And David told the teacher guy that each student in the class could bring one item, and he would do psychometry on the item. Now, in psychometry, just you don't know, it's when you touch the object and you can get a feel for who owns that object, who has the most emotional impact into the object. Well, okay, so I decided, forget the one item rule. I brought 3 items, and I snuck them in the bowl up there. And it was a controlled study. So I'll just talk about the one item, the most important item. So the one item that was really convinced me this guy was for real was I had my sister-in-law take a toy block that I had. I don't know why I had this thing, but it was a large plastic toy block, about 3 inches on a side, and you could open it up and put little things in it. And so I told her to take this thing, wrap something up, don't tell me anything about it. Wrap it up in your material, don't tell me anything. I don't want to know anything about it. Who did it? Anything. So, okay. So when David Kinsey picked up that object, he first off picked up a reading from me. I recognized that was coming from me because I owned the toy block. But then he said, I feel like a little girl roller skating through the clouds. And he starts talking about how fun it was to roller skate through the clouds. And he said, I feel really like I'm in a real secure place, like I'm with my mother. I didn't know what the hell he was talking about. And so I tape recorded it. And so I take it back to my sister-in-law, and I said, what's he talking about? So, oh my God, he's talking about the little book that I read to my daughter frequently. It's her favorite book. It's about a little girl who roller skates through the clouds. I read it to her several times a week. And I thought, okay. I asked her, is this like a popular book that lots of kids would have? No, this is not a popular book. It's an obscure little children's book. Because I'm thinking, well, I was trying to come up with any way David Kinsey could have known anything about this. So I was fortunate enough that the teacher guy gave me the information so I could contact David Kinsey personally. So I called him up, and he lived in Kansas City, Missouri. He was part of a spiritual church. And so after talking to him on the phone, he said, "Why don't you just come down and join us?" So I did. And he lived in sort of a shady area, Kansas City. It's a little dangerous to go to his place, to be honest. But it ended up being profound. So I ended up going there, off and on, maybe once a month for about 2 years. And I was a member of a group, and we did meditations, prayers, Holy Spirit, a lot of Christian praying, a lot of mediumship. And he taught us how to raise our Kundalini in the Holy Spirit. And it was profound. So then he'd ask us one at a time. He would give us a little object and said, "See what you can pick up off the object." And so they handed me, I can't remember what it was, but it was a ring. I'm sorry, I do remember. It was a gold ring. They handed me this gold ring, and immediately, I mean, no hesitation, this woman's face came into my mind's eye, and her whole life. I could see her life, a review of her life. And granted, they could have all set this up. I get that. But I knew what the picture was in my mind's eye. And they brought out then a bunch of pictures. And they asked me to pick out the person. Well, that wasn't hard. It's easy. And I said, yeah. Of course, they could have said yes anyway. I mean, it was obvious this could have been fate, but the experience was the important part. It was immediate. It was immediate. So he taught me how to meditate. In that time, he taught me how to meditate and do the raise the Kundalini and bring up the Holy Spirit and really communicate. So that's when things really started to happen. And that was going on the same time I'd been hypnotizing Linda. Those happened. Of course, I didn't hypnotize Linda over a 2-year period, but those went on about the same period. So anyway, those are the stories that I didn't have time to tell the other night. So, all righty.
How long ago was that, Mark?
This long time ago. Early 1980s. Early 1980s.
Where were you living when? And what?
I was living out in the country, north of Lawrence, Kansas at the time. I was just renting a little house out there.
Okay.
I was working as a physicist at that time, doing radiation studies at the University of Kansas. Yeah.
Okay. And I have a question about the Sasquatch audio. So you hear that sometimes. You said you heard it recently. Cheryl, have you heard something like that?
Yes. I think that sounded a little more high pitched than what we have heard. But we have heard more like a howl, like a distant howl, like a coyote or something like that. It would seem to be like a coyote. And this could have been what Mark played could have been picked up that way as well, I believe, with the machine. But we also had a person assess the recording that we got, and he said it was definitely not like a wolf or a normal animal, a wild animal in our area where we live.
Wow.
Now, keep in mind, I only live 11 miles away from Cheryl.
Yes.
And it's very possible that we're hearing the same Sasquatch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because my forest, the Ouachita Forest right in my backyard extends over almost to where you guys are. Not very far from where you're actually located. If you look at an Earth map, you'll see the Ouachita Forest is over by Wolf Pen, which isn't very far from you guys. So
Correct.
we may be talking about the same howling. I heard it this morning, a little after daybreak. It was quite a ways off. Now I'm trying to be real scientific about this. I'm listening to the roosters call. I'm listening to the coyotes call. I can't say I've heard any mountain lion around here, but I know they're here. And this is distinctly different. I know what the owls sound like, and the weird birds. There is a weird bird around here that makes a weird bird sound, but it's different. I've been trying to figure out, can this be a wild animal I'm not familiar with, but I can't say that it is. So.
Okay, well, thank you. We're looking forward to hearing more about all of this, and we're looking forward to your next lecture. Mark's next lecture is part 3 on Friday, July 25th at 7 p.m. EST. If you would like more information, go to www.globallightbridge.com and you can see the live Zoom. It's also on the main page. It'll show you Mark's picture and his bio, and you can also sign up for part 3. If you're already enrolled, you'll automatically get a Zoom link to that call. Okay. So thank you very much. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and hopefully we'll see you on Friday, July 25th.
Thank you, Indigo.